Good evening. This is a contribution from the Multi-Faith Association of South Australia to a series of videos that Religions for Peace Australia is producing on the value of prayer and meditation in times of crisis. Firstly, I'd like to introduce Mahboobeh Aryanpad from the Baha'i faith. Thank you.
Thank you, dear Philippa. I'm Mahboobeh Aryanpad, and I will present my finding from the Baha'i writings on this topic of prayer and meeting and mental health. I came across an article by one of the Baha'is, Mr. Joseph Shepherd, who quotes some of the writings of Baha'u'llah, the prophet founder of the Baha'i faith, and his son Abdul Baha on the healing power of prayer. Some parts of my contribution is quoting from that article. Research has shown that physical and mental health are closely related to spiritual well-being. Abdul Baha states, spiritual feelings have a surprising effect on healing nervous ailments. Our mental responses to life move through a spectrum of emotions that deeply affect our physical being, just as a physical ailment affects the functioning and clarity of our minds. Refreshing the spirit helps to remove the tarnish that sometimes clouds the mirror of our souls. That kind of spiritual refreshment can help us through the hardest time of life, conflicts, which, for example, those we love, health crises, or financial difficulties. The circumstances of most lives will often pose financial difficulties, but our attitudes towards such problems can either assist or hinder their resolution. In this regard, Baha'is are advised to be generous in times of personal prosperity and thankful during the times of adversity, for both conditions are temporary, and one follows the other through the life. When we find ourselves struggling with adversity, it may help to remember those whose lives are full of difficulties and whose trials are continual. If we can find a way to be of service to others, it will be a great benefit to ourselves, for it will allow us to see the circumstances of others' lives and will put our own situation in perspective. Baha'u'llah states, be generous in prosperity and thankful in adversity. Let not the happenings of the world sadden you. His son Abdul Baha states, all the sorrows and the grief that exist come from the world of matter. The spiritual world bestows only the joy. Then we receive divine counsels and advice, such as the following two quotes, which give us a path and direction. Abdul Baha states, do not grieve at the afflictions and calamities that have befallen thee. All calamities and afflictions have been created for man so that he may spurn this mortal world, a world to which he is much attached. When he experienceth severe trials and hardship, then his nature will recoil and he will desire the eternal realm, a realm which is sanctified from all afflictions and calamities. In another passage, Abdul Baha states, if sorrow and adversity visit us, let us turn our faces to the kingdom, and heavenly consolations will be outpoured. If we are sick and in distress, let us implore God's healing, and He will answer our prayers. When our thoughts are filled with the bitterness of this world, let us turn our eyes to the sweetness of God's compassion, and He will send us heavenly calm. If we are imprisoned in the material world, our spirit can soar into the heavens, and we shall be free indeed. With the COVID-19 pandemic, the Universal House of Justice released the governing body of the world for Baha'is, released a publication to the Baha'is worldwide. It is titled The Universal Crisis Affecting Mankind, Nursing a Sore, Tired, and Disillusioned Humanity Back to Health. In that publication, they included writings of the central figures of the Baha'i faith, which describes the world's current state of disorder and confusion, and also the disposition of the Baha'is and the hope for future. I just read one of the quotes from Abdul Baha in that publication. O army of God, when calamity striketh, be ye patient and composed. However afflictive your sufferings may be, stay ye undisturbed, and with perfect confidence in the abounding grace of God, brave ye the tempest of tribulations and fiery ordeals. Baha'is are encouraged to meditate and pray at least each morning and evening. Baha'u'llah states, meditate profoundly that the secrets of things unseen may be revealed unto you, that you may inhale the sweetness of a spiritual and imperishable fragrance, that you may acknowledge the truth, so that light may be distinguished from darkness, truth from falsehood, right from wrong, guidance from error, happiness from misery, and roses from thorns. I would like to finish with three of my favorite writings, two from Baha'u'llah and one from Abdul Baha, which has helped me in times of trouble and ordeals. O Son of Spirit, I created thee rich. Why dost thou bring thyself down to poverty? Noble I made thee, wherewith thus dost thou abase thyself? Out of the essence of knowledge I gave thee being. Why seekest thou enlightenment from anyone beside me? Out of the clay of love I molded thee. How dost thou busy thyself with another? Turn thy sight unto thyself, that thou mayest find me standing within thee, mighty, powerful, and self-subsisting. The next prayer is from Abdul Baha. O God, refresh and gladden my spirit, purify my heart, illumine my powers. I lay all my affairs in thy hand. Thou art my guide and my refuge. I will no longer be sorrowful and grieved. I will be a happy and joyful being. O God, I will no longer be full of anxiety, nor will I let trouble harass me. I will not dwell on the unpleasant things of life. O God, thou art more friend to me than I am to myself. I dedicate myself to thee, O Lord. The following prayer from Baha'i writings from Baha'u'llah can be very helpful when healing is needed. Thy name is my healing, O my God, and remembrance of thee is my remedy. Nearness to thee is my hope, and love for thee is my companion. Thy mercy to me is my healing and my succor in both this world and the world to come. Thou verily art the all-bountiful, the all-knowing, the all-wise. Thank you.
My name here is Philippa Rowland, and I'm speaking today as a Buddhist. So I would like to share with you, firstly, some words from His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And in his quote, he says this: "In our world, we need a clear awareness of the interdependent nature of nations, of humans, and all animals and the world. If humankind continues to approach its problem from the perspective of temporary expediency, future generations will face tremendous difficulties. And this is true not only for humans, but also for all species. And I'm aware that I speak today on World Environment Day, and at the time we are recording these prayers, there is a faith-led dialogue on biodiversity decline going on in another channel on the internet. This time of pandemic crisis has been so fearful and so frightful for so many around the world, particularly the poor and vulnerable in countries where access to vaccines and to medical care is very limited. So our hearts go out to them, as it does to creatures that have no choice when their homes, their habitats are destroyed. In these times of extreme need, it's important that we keep our own inner balance so that our actions are based on love and care and don't come from the root of fear and anger. That is why in Buddhism also the sense of the value of meditation and prayer in times of crisis is very strong. It is what we turn to encourage ourselves to be loving and compassionate to all living beings. I am only a lay Buddhist, and so I turn to one of my teachers who has written a book called Taming the Elephant Mind, a handbook of theory and practice in calm, abiding meditation. And there is a chapter I will share from, which is called Everyday Mindfulness. And it begins with a quote from the Buddhist teacher Nagarjuna. "One who is heedful is happy, and one who is not, is not." Mindfulness is important on all occasions, and it benefits ourselves and others. In recent years, psychologists have come to appreciate the importance of understanding the mind. Mind has always been since time immemorial. Mind is the oldest subject. We're always using mindfulness, although it's not always consciously present. The cause of mindfulness is calmness. We have to be calm to distinguish between the perception and the perceived. There should be an absence of turbulence. Calmness is the conscious act of pacifying the mind of certain negative thoughts, feelings, and emotions. When we are calm, we become careful of what information we receive. When we are not calm, then our response will not be carefully thought through. When we're agitated by negativity, then there is only one response that you will fire on the spot. When we are careful, we begin to have more ability to pick the best response from several choices. When chopping wood with mindfulness, we will not only see the wood, but also now know how to hold the axe carefully. We may hold the handle so tightly we may cause a blister. If we held the title too loosely, we might drop the axe. We need to find a middle way. Using mindfulness, we are able to look and at the same time to see. we will see the purpose for which mindfulness is directed. We only learn the skillful method by knowing the danger of the two extremes: look, see, learn, and change. Change is finding a new method of holding the axe. There are a lot of instances in life where we have been holding one too tightly or too loosely. Seeing is recognizing that things that we did in the past that were too fundamentalist or too controlling and that need to be relaxed. Seeing empowers us not to repeat the past error. We learn from past experiences and then we begin to change. We practice mindfulness only in the present moment. We do not have to practice it all day. Mindfulness is full precision in the present, not fast forwarding to the future or playing back the past. When we are not calm, we become agitated by the past or worried about the future. Mindfulness might be forgetting the other things that would otherwise take our minds away to become totally distracted. Things are done wholeheartedly, as if the rest of the world does not exist, without being distracted and with undivided attention. Things are done more accurately and quickly. You can foresee how the long-term benefits will be great. The effect of the mindfulness of good intentions will be revealed by the result. Sincerely doing something will have the power to sustain your confidence and concentration. When you are careful, then you discover the love and the meaning of the effort. Mindfulness boosts optimism and can transform situations. Meditation blesses us, so we're able to see that good comes from others, and our actions can be empowered by that. With mindfulness, we see the positive and the good in the intention of other people. It means we can begin to read the heart of others. We're not worried by a few poorly delivered words, and we will distill the essence and perceive the wholeness of others. One sesame seed contains only a little oil, but many sesame seeds yield a lot of oil. Even though it may not seem like much on its own, we can learn to do everything with mindfulness and faith to ensure a beneficial outcome. It's better to do fewer things with better quality. Then we will not become exhausted and there will be more happiness and greater effect. Mindfulness in our work is very relevant, and meditation can help recondition our motivation for our daily work. This can help us develop mindfulness that is primarily directed towards the happiness of not only ourselves, but of other people around us and of other beings with whom we share the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Philippa. That was lovely.
So I'll stop the